folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, July the 30th, 2020. It's 11:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And today, this is episode 85 of McRae Live. I See You. Now, there's two I See You movies, I think, from last year. I'm talking about the one with Helen Hunt. Not the other one. This show will contain spoilers. Massive spoilers. So if you are not if you do not want spoilers, if you do not want the movie ruined for you, you have been warned. And also, the thumbnail says spoilers. These are not spoilers that can be, I'm not going to be talking about things that some people will think are spoilers, but some people won't. No, these are spoilers. Whether you care about that or not is a completely different thing, but they will be spoilers. They are. Because this is the kind of movie that you can't really talk about with any sort of depth or detail without talking about spoilers. I know this movie is classified as a horror film, and, you know, for all intents and purposes, I guess it would be. But in the subgenre of horror, I would classify this as a psychological thriller. If you've not seen this movie, I See You, the one starring Helen Hunt, because there is another one. I'm not talking about that one. And you like slow burns like I do, and mystery and good psychological thrillers, I think you'll enjoy this movie. The trailer for this movie, now again, I am going to be talking about, I have to talk about spoilers. You've been warned. The thumbnail does say spoilers in big capital letters. So I am assuming people who are going to be tuning in, clicking on this video, clicking on this thumbnail, has seen spoilers, big capital letters. But maybe they don't care about this movie. It's a very good movie. I watched it the other night with my girlfriend, and we thought it was great. And the trailer for this movie, when you watch the trailer and then you watch the movie, this is the perfect example of misleading your audience, but not in a nefarious sort of way or in a deceitful, manipulative way, in the sense of that they were trying to, when you mislead your audience, you're always trying to trick them. But this is the good kind of trick, right? You watch the trailer and you think it's going to be one kind of movie, and then you watch it and you're like, oh, it's this kind of movie. Like, you know, Parasite, right? For those of you that have seen Parasite, you think it's one kind of movie and then it ends up being this kind of movie. Now, I'm not saying that I See You is as good as, see, that's the world we live in, right? You know, it's crazy to think that we live in a world where I can say, you know, that movie, it's kind of like that. And then the world of fandom will so you're saying it's as good as Parasite? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about it uses the same sort of, I can't even say that. It's that kind of movie that you think it's one thing, but then it ends up being another. That doesn't mean it's as good as that movie. It's just that kind of movie. No, that's what you said. God, the amount of prefacing I have to do on this fucking channel is unbelievable. And if I don't do it... Anyway, so... but when you watch the trailer, it clearly looks like it's going to be a, supernatural kind of movie. It's not. It's not at all. Now, again, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. You have been warned. You've been warned. DMT Infinity says, you better not be spoiling this movie, Dave. Then walk away. It says spoilers in big capital letters right on the thumbnail, DMT. Get out of here. Go watch the movie. Watch it right now. What the fuck you doing? Watch it right now and then come back. You're going to be warned. Yes, spoilers. The thumbnail says spoilers, guys. Look at my thumbnail. It says spoilers. You clicked on the video. If I spoil it for you, that's your fault, not mine. So go watch the movie and then come back. All right, here we go. You ready? I'm giving you one last chance. I'm giving you one last chance. This show will be here forever. It's not like if you click away from me now, you can never watch episode 85 of McRae Live ever again. It'll be up on YouTube. Go watch it later. It'll be there. It's okay. It's okay. As Darren Sand says, the movie is well worth a watch. You're damn right it is. So go watch it. But I'm sure Darren would agree, it's the kind of movie you can't really talk about in any great detail without talking about the spoilers. Sometimes there's movies like that. But Dave, I said spoilers in the thumbnail. That's why I put it there. And you clicked on it. So go watch it. I'm warning you. Or at least go watch the trailer and see if it's something that you think you might be interested in. Listen, some people don't care about spoilers. I'm kind of one of those people, depending on what the spoiler is. Because, we live in a world where, and as you can see here, I'm buying you more time, to click away from the video. This is what I'm doing. Sometimes there are spoilers that, I think is a spoiler, but you don't. You think is a spoiler, but I don't. And then there's clearly what's a spoiler. It takes a lot to spoil a movie for me. A lot to spoil a movie for me. So I'm one of those people that's got pretty thick skin when it comes to the spoiler area. I don't know if that's because the way my mind works and I'm not sure. But what I'm about to say and talk about in this movie will spoil it for you. Because the fun of watching this movie is trying to figure it out. Okay. Here we go. You ready? This is not a supernatural movie. It's not a supernatural movie at all. There's absolutely unequivocally nothing supernatural in this movie. And that's great. But when you watch the trailer, you think, oh, there's probably something supernatural going on, or there's like a supernatural element. Nope. The entire movie is there are reasonable explanations for everything. Now that might make you go, oh, well, that fucking sucks. No, it's actually who's doing that? Literally doing that. It's great because they lead you down a path into thinking that it could be something like that, but provide you reasonable explanations for things. So this is essentially about, and again, I don't do formal movie reviews on this channel. I'm just talking about this. This is essentially about this cop who's a detective who is investigating the disappearance of young boys in the neighborhood or in the town, I guess. And things have been lying dormant for a while. And yes, because they think they caught the guy that did it. And the guy who they caught that says he didn't do it, but he's in jail now, and then a boy goes missing again some years later. They think it's a copycat, kidnapper or killer, because they're using a lot of the same sort of devices that the guy did years ago. And this one cop is investigating along with other people as well. And of course he lives with his, I guess I would say, estranged wife, played by Helen Hunt. Maybe that's too strong, but she had an affair, and they're continuing to live together. So he's kind of sleeping on the couch. They have this son. The son, I think, is the son not played by the same kid that played, what's his face in It Chapter 1 and 2? Oh, fuck, why am I blanking on the name? The bully. The bully in It Chapter 1 and 2. I think that's the same kid, but in I See You, he's got short hair. And I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Is it the same kid? What the hell's the kid's name in It Chapter 1 and 2? The movies, the motion pictures, the ones that just came out. Why am I drawing up complete fucking blank on his name? Darren says, yes, it is. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Owen Teague. Yeah. I thought it was because it looked like him. I thought that was him. So anyway, so he plays their son, and he's got shorter hair, or short hair. I doubt he had long hair, and it's probably a wig, to give him the mullet. But anyway, so he's in this movie, and he's great. You know what? I mean, he didn't have a lot to do in this movie, but he's a talented little dude. When I say little dude, that's a little condescending. He's probably in his 20s, for Christ's sakes. I don't know. But at least, he's a talented dude. He's a talented dude, and I can certainly see him going far. The way he can turn on his emotion is fantastic, and he did it in It Chapter 1 and 2, which was great. I guess more 1. And he did it here as well in I See You. There's a moment where he's having a conversation with Helen Hunt, and he just lets it all out because he's angry that his mother cheated on their father, and is like going on like as if nothing happened. And he's very angry about that. So there's definitely a family dynamic there. They live in this nice home in this suburban neighborhood, in the small town. And, there's definitely there's tension, within that family. And of course, his dad is this detective who's trying to solve this murder of this missing boy. Not murders, these kidnappings of this, because they don't know if they've been murdered. The kidnapping of this boy. And yeah, so cool stuff. But what's fascinating about this is because this ends up being a psychological thriller. Because it is. Again, in the world of horror films, there are a lot of subgenres, right? Slasher being one, supernatural, ghost, exploitation, psychological, there's a lot of sort of subgenres to the overall bigger horror tree, right? So if you think of like horror as a tree, right? Horror is the tree, and then you have all these branches, right? And there's, you have psychological and supernatural and there I go. And then slasher and all that kind of stuff, right? So, yeah, so there's wait a second. There we go. So when you look this movie up, though, it's classified as just horror. And I'm like, oh yeah, I get, yes, it is, but it's more it's a psychological thriller. I just call it a psych thriller because that's what it is. And you'll understand it when you watch it. So what's great about this movie is that they lead you down a path thinking that there could potentially be a supernatural explanation for the disappearance of not only the boy that we're introduced to at the beginning of the movie who disappears, and he disappears sort of like it's got a Stranger Things kind of thing to it. It's like, because, he's riding his bike alone, and, I won't, but, he flies off the bike in a way that makes you think that there's some supernatural force. And, it's cool. It's well done. But the movie is set up, like I said, for the first half of it, it's set up in a sense that, yeah, you do get this idea that there's a supernatural explanation. There's a scene when Helen Hunt, is in her kitchen and she's making dinner, I think, or something, and the TV is on, and she turns off the TV because I think a news report comes on about, the kids and all that kind of stuff, and she turns it off. And then she walks away from the TV and it turns back on by itself. And then she's like, the fuck? And she turns it off. And she walks away and it turns on again by itself. Like, you're like, oh yeah, it's one of these movies. Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not, because there's a reasonable explanation for it. And I actually like that. I like that they went that route. I like that they took their audience in this direction and then pulled them away. And so, no, there's a reasonable explanation for this. And I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, so, for the first little bit, this is going on, and you kind of think that there's some sort of, reasonable explanation here. And again, this is not a formal movie review. It's not what I do on this channel. I just like to give my thoughts on what I saw, because I really liked the movie. I liked how grounded it was, how mature it was, how they weren't afraid to make certain creative choices that I didn't see coming, that I'm glad they had the balls to do. And so anyway, man, there's a lot. So what ends up happening is that essentially the man that Helen Hunt's character, I think her name's Jackie in the movie, was having an affair with, shows up unannounced. Now, her husband is at work, and the kids, I think the kid is getting ready for school in the morning or something, and the guy shows up. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" He's like, "I love you, baby. I want to be with you." And she's like, "Nah, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to do this." But then, this is what's so cool is that in the first half of the movie, the husband discovers like a mug on top of the roof with cigarette butts in it. And, nothing really supernatural about it, but because he's got a young boy, you kind of think, oh, his son's probably sneaking up onto the roof, smoking a couple of joints or a cigarette or whatever, right? Like that's what you think because he's of that age. Or is that after? No, I guess he leaves it there. That's right, he leaves it there. Anyway, so a while later, while this guy who wants Helen Hunt's character is talking to her, and the mug from the roof flies off the roof and hits him in the head. Now he's bleeding all over the place, and Helen Hunt's got to take him into the house and into the basement to keep him away from her kid so her kid doesn't see him, and she's trying to patch him up and shit like that. And she does sort of a semi-good job. And then she goes and takes her kid to school and leaves him in the basement. And then we don't see what happens to him, but he crawls over to this kind of this desk, and clearly somebody steps into the frame. We don't see who it is, and hits him over the head or something, killing him. It's like, what the fuck's going on, right? And then Helen Hunt comes home later. It discovers him dead in the basement. The husband comes home. Oh my God, what the fuck did you do? What's going on? I didn't do anything. Holy shit, blah, blah, blah. They think it's their son because of how angry he was at Helen Hunt for the affair and, all that kind of jazz. So they decide to, cover it up, and her husband, her estranged husband, I guess, in some ways, even though they're living together, they decide to wrap the body and throw it in the back of the car, take it out to the woods and bury it. Right? It's like, fuck, and then it's hard for me to get into. It's hard because I'm not a movie reviewer, and reviewers do this better than me. I just really liked how it's taking you down one path, and then what ends up happening is it gets to a certain point in the movie where the kid is home alone while the mom and dad are out burying this body, right? And the kid's home alone. And then all of a sudden you see shadows kind of on his door, and you think, again, you think there might be a supernatural entity here. And we're like halfway through the movie at this point, you know what I mean? And you're still thinking that there's something supernatural going on, and there isn't. And then the door opens, and there's this person standing there in a frog mask, the mask that's on my thumbnail, and he's standing there, and he's got I don't know, he's got a bat in his hand or something, and it's like, what the fuck, right? And he's sneaking up on this boy from behind. His parents aren't home. We don't see what happens. His parents come home from burying that body. They go inside, and they discover their son duct taped and bound and tied in their bathtub. And it's like, what the fuck, right? Like, what the fuck? And he's alive, but it's like, what the fuck is going on, right? And there's this green Swiss Army knife that's sort of like there as well, which was kind of like the kidnapper's calling card from years ago. So there's this green sort of Swiss Army knife there. So it's like, oh fuck, is the guy, but how can it be? Because the guy, like, we caught the guy and he's in jail. So that's why they think maybe it's a copycat, And so the detective takes that and he's like, what the fuck, right? And they get his, their son out of the bathtub and things like that. And I think it's a little later, that scene, the father has got his gun and he's moving around the house because they're hearing things, and then somebody comes out of the shadows and with like an axe or something, and and then it cuts there. And then what the movie does is that it cuts there, and we go all the way back almost to the beginning of the movie, and now they're telling the story from a different perspective, from a different character or characters. So now they're sort of giving insight to the audience, to the explanation of what was going on in the house. What were those bumps in the nights? Why? Oh yeah, these silverware was missing from the drawer too. Like things were missing and things were out of place. And why was, there a mug on the roof and all that kind of stuff, right? Or the roof, as some Americans like to say, right? So, and by the way, if you're just joining me, I am talking heavy spoilers. You can't talk about this movie without talking about spoilers. I'm talking about the 2019 Helen Hunt movie, I See You. There's another movie called I See You as well. I think from last year too, actually. I'm not talking about that movie. I'm talking about the one with Helen Hunt, but I have on my thumbnail, spoilers. At the beginning of the show, I talked that I was going to be talking heavy about spoilers. So, the spoilers, so just you are forewarned. If you do not want to know anything about this, go watch the movie, then come back. This will be here. So spoiler heavy. So, but if you're like me, these things don't necessarily ruin the movie. So it goes back and it starts to, now we're following two characters, two young characters. Oh yeah, because there's a scene where earlier in the movie, the dad, right, the detective throws his phone. He's angry, right? It's just built up anger, and he throws his phone through the window upstairs in the bedroom or something. And then Helen Hunt comes home later and discovers that there's like a repairman there, and he's there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, didn't mean to scare you," because that's kind of weird. Like, what's this guy doing in here, right? And he's like, no, like, your husband, called me, and I, just repairing this. And she's like, okay. And as he's leaving, he's like, say goodbye to your daughter for me, And she's like, my daughter? And he's like, yeah, she let me in. Well, she doesn't have a daughter, right? And again, this is early on in the movie, so you're thinking, supernatural, right? You're thinking, oh, there's a ghost, there's a spirit, which is fine, but how many times has that been done? It's been done to death. It's really nice to see something like this, taking you down one path, but then all of a sudden it's like, but at that moment you're thinking, oh, well, it must have been a ghost or a spirit or something, because she doesn't have a daughter, she's got a son, So that I thought was kind of cool. So there's all those types of things that are happening, leading you down one path, taking you in one direction. And then, like I said, we jump to that moment where the movie kind of goes back now, and now we're following two young younglings. They're probably 17, 18, maybe in their early 20s, maybe, but not much older than that. And it's a guy and a girl, and they've snuck into this house. They've snuck into the house of Helen Hunt and her estranged husband or whatever, and their son, right? And there's something called frogging with a P-H-R, it's P-H-R-O-G-G, P-H-O, no, what am I saying here? P-H-R-O-G-G-I-N-G. And this is essentially, and this is a real thing, apparently. I didn't know this, but people, fuck, I gotta check my place. Hope they're not doing that. People will sneak into people's homes and coexist with them without them knowing. And they don't steal anything. At least there's like rules. Like, you're not supposed to steal anything. You're not supposed to, you don't kill them. You don't murder them. You just coexist as if you're a roommate without their knowledge. So like, you're sleeping in the attic, you get up, in the wee hours of the morning to have something to eat. It's kind of creepy. Like, that in and of itself is really creepy and really disturbing. And that's what these kids are doing. And we're watching that now through their lens, through their character's perspective, through a video camera, right? And because the guy is filming this, like, come on, let's sneak in, right? And we're watching this all unfold. And then we start to see events that we've already seen, but from Helen Hunt's perspective, from her husband's perspective, and from her son's perspective. Now we begin to see those events from the Frogger's perspective, okay? And like, there's a scene when Helen Hunt is in her son's bedroom earlier in the movie, and she's picking up some clothes from the floor, and she notices the frog mask underneath her son's bed. Of course, again, misdirect, thinking, oh, what's her son into, right? What the fuck is going on here? Well, you find out later that actually, from the perspective of the two kids, you find out that, well, no, actually the male kid was actually under the bed lying there at that moment. He had the mask on and he's lying there. But because of everything under his bed, Helen Hunt's character didn't realize that there was actually a person there. It just looked like some shit stored there. Oh! Creepy fucking shit, right? Creepy shit. So, So I was, Darren San says Devontae Frogs is in the chat room. Oh, well, you guys can just keep putting him in timeout, and then I'll get to his ass shortly. Fucking Devontae. Anyway, so we start to see these events unfold from the other perspective. And then you begin to realize that everything you thought was supernatural, right, has a natural explanation, right? The silverware that's suddenly missing from the drawer, right? The fuck is going on? Well, no, they took it, right? These kids took it. The mug on the roof, right? Like, how did that get up there? Was it his son? That's kind of strange, right? No, it was the male kid, right? The male Frogger. He was out there on the roof at night smoking a cigarette, right? And he, that's what, and he was the one that dropped it, that tossed it off the roof, hitting Helen Hunt's, mystery man. Well, he's not really a mystery man, but her lover, so to speak, in the head, right? So there's a reasonable explanation. It didn't spontaneously just fly off because of some supernatural force. So I really like that. And my girlfriend and I are sitting here going, this is really good. Like, this is cool because there's a sense of maturity to it. It's not what you expect, right? And listen, I'm somebody that actually believes that there is a high probability that there are things we do not understand. Things, if you want to call them supernatural, you can. But I do believe there is, at the very least, strong circumstantial evidence that there are things beyond our five senses that it coexist. Whether that's spirits or whatever, alternate dimensions, alternate planes of existence. I don't know. Okay. But I do tend to believe into that possibility, but it's nice to see a movie, but I'm also of the mindset that more often than not, there are reasonable explanations for unusual occurrences. I am of that mindset. More often than not, things can be reasonably explained if we really look into it. Do you know what I mean? So I like that there's a movie that isn't afraid to go there, that takes you down one path, but then all of a sudden it's like, no, it really isn't supernatural. And to some people, they'll be like, oh, that sucks. But it's like, yeah, but how many times have you fucking seen that? How many times have you fucking seen that? It's nice to have something that takes you down one path and then says, no, but the movie's not done yet. The movie's not done yet because there's a lot of twists in here. But then it starts to tell a story from the more reasonable explanation point of view. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. And you start to learn all about frogging at that point. And then being in the house then becomes creepy and weird. And you're watching this almost like this different movie at that point, but it feels good. Like it feels organic. And it's like, oh, this is so creepy. Like they're coexisting in their attic without them knowing, and they're sneaking around at night and they're taking fucking silverware and shit, and the boy's got the mask on. He's, fucking shit. And he's taping the kid up and he's putting him in the bathtub and shit. And then his girlfriend, I don't mean his girlfriend, but his friend who's, the girl. I guess they could have been together. I have no idea. But you didn't get that sense. You got the sense they were just friends. But she was great too. But he starts to make decisions and starts to want to do things that is not really, you don't do that when you're frogging. Like we can't do that. Like frogging is all about sneaking in, sneaking around, coexisting for, a couple of days or whatever. Maybe we take some things that are innocuous like silverware, or we, rearrange a cupboard or whatever to just fuck with them, make them think they're going kind of crazy. But you don't do anything like, I know that in and of itself is crazy. Like they shouldn't be there, right? It's illegal. But in terms of like really doing detrimental stuff, we can't do, or that's like against the rules, right? So even kidnapping the son, duct taping him and putting him in the bathtub, even that's like, what the fuck are you doing? So clearly this boy, I say boy, like I said, like they're older teens. The fact that he is, you start to see an emotional change in him, almost as if like he's he starts to disconnect from his friend. And the girl's like, we can't be doing this. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, okay, I'm out of here. Come on, let's go. And he's like, no, I'm staying. Like you can almost tell that there's something else going on within him. There's something else there. Why is it so almost personal all of a sudden to him? And that's interesting. It comes back soon. So, and what's really cool is okay, I won't say this yet, but there is a strong suggestion, and it's also outright said by one of the detectives, not the dad guy, but one of the other guys, that there's a strong, that there could be, naturally, when boys go missing, and no girls go missing, it's just boys, especially of that age, there is a strong sort of suggestion of pedophilia, okay? And there is a symbol in this movie that if you knew what to look for and you knew a lot about this kind of thing, when I say a lot about, like who knows a lot about it, but I just mean like if you happen to know this, the answer to the entire movie is in your face from the very beginning. At least the suggestion of it. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Again, heavy spoilers. In case you haven't noticed, I am talking about major spoilers. Okay. It's so cool. So pedophilia is a strong sort of, there's an undertone throughout this movie in terms of the whoever is kidnapping these boys, right? Because naturally, I mean, if you're kidnapping boys, I mean, you know. Anyway, so that sort of lingers there. But anyway, so, wow, where does it go from here? So, there's a moment where, it's so cool. There's a moment where so the girl wants to leave. She's like, I'm not fucking staying here. Like, we can't do this, right? And they sort of get into a bit of a, not a fight, but, you know, he's like, no, come on. And he grabs her and she slips and she falls down the stairs, hits her head, knocks herself unconscious. And he's like, oh, fuck, right? Fuck. So I can't remember now. Darren, if you're in the chat still, did he then pick her up and he was the one that placed her in the back of the car? I think it was him, right? I think it was him. Yes, I think it was him. He was the one that picked up the girl and put him in the back of one of the cars, right? Was that? Yeah, no, yes, that's right. Yes, yeah, that's right. Because so he picks her up, goes into the garage and puts her in one of the back of, right, because he was going to drive away. That's right. And so he puts her in one of the back of the SUVs. Because again, we're seeing it from their perspective now, right? We're seeing it from their perspective. So he's just finished kidnapping, so to speak, and duct taping the son, putting him in the bathtub. Like, we've already seen this scene, but now we're seeing it from a different perspective, which is really cool. I like shit like that. And that's good. Listen, it takes a lot. It's not easy to write shit like that. So now we're seeing it from the other perspective. So he puts his friend in the back of their SUV. The other SUV, or the other car that they have, is gone because they're burying that guy in the woods, right? And so he's trying to. He doesn't have the keys. Maybe it's a push button or something. I can't remember. And he can't get out of there. And then all of a sudden, the garage door opens, and Helen Hunt and her husband, they come back. Right now, we've already seen this again, but we're seeing it from the perspective of the male Frogger now. And they come back and he's like, oh, fuck. And he, like, you know, dips down, hides. I think he gets out of I think he gets out of the car, hides in the garage. And then a little while later, obviously the father discovers the boy, blah, blah, blah. And then and now this is something we haven't seen, is that he gets into the SUV, the dad, and drives off with the girl in the back of the car, right? And it's like, what the fuck? Like, where's he going? Like, what's going on here, right? And this is when we don't know where he's going. The male Frogger is left in the garage, like, oh shit. Now we're following this guy. And what ends up happening is the girl in the back of the SUV, she comes to. She doesn't know where the fuck she is. Oh, wait, no, let me back up. Fuck. Let me back up. I got to back up. Sorry. Way back up. So again, like I said, we're seeing things from the perspective of these of these Froggers, right? So she goes into the basement. There's a scene earlier where she goes into the basement. Now, we've already seen this because Helen Hunt's estranged, you know, lover is in the basement, right? so we've seen this, but from his perspective. And now she was down there the whole time, and we didn't know that when we first saw it. So now we're seeing it from her perspective. She's watching the guy crawl, because remember, he gets hit in the head with something by somebody, right? Well, now we're seeing it from her perspective. She's watching, and this is one of the big twists and one of the big reveals. Again, spoilers! What the fuck you still watching? You can't blame it. You can't blame anybody else but yourself. Like, you literally can only blame yourself. So, like, come on. Click away. Come on. So we finally get to see what exactly happened to him. Well, isn't it the dad? It's the dad detective that comes into the basement and hits him over the head, I think with a bat or something like that, right? And she sees this. Now, okay, this is, yes, your wife shouldn't have been cheating on you. This is the other guy, maybe you're angry with him for being there, but then why aren't you angry at your wife? I mean, it should be your wife you're angry at, not the guy. I mean, the guy has nothing to lose. It's your wife you should be really angry at. And I'm not saying that he should hit her over the head with a bat, but I'm just saying, right? But this is kind of like, so he hits him over the head. It's like, oh shit. And he murders him. And now there's a witness. There's a witness to that. And it's like, oh, fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, right? So she sees this and she's crying and she's huddled and so she sees all that play out. And that's when she goes upstairs, is talking to her male Frogger friend, and they have like this conversation. He's getting all enraged because he's, put the boy in the bathtub, and she's like, no, like, we got to get out of here and blah, blah, blah. And then that's when she falls down the stairs, hits her head. He takes her, puts in the back of the other car. They come home, right, from burying the body, right? And then he gets out, and then the male cop gets into the car. Like, the dad gets into the car and drives off. So now we're like, okay, we haven't seen this yet. Like, we've seen everything up to this point, we've seen already, but we were watching it from a different perspective, right? Now, at this moment, we haven't seen this scene yet. This is brand new. And the girl is in the back of the car and she comes to. Now, her male Frogger friend isn't there because he's back hiding in the garage. And she's in the back seat and she comes to, and she sees him and she recognizes him because, like, oh, fuck. And she probably thinks, oh, shit. Maybe she's come to and she's thinking she can't remember. Like, maybe she can't remember falling down the stairs and hitting her head. Maybe she thinks that she was hit in the head by this guy. And that's entirely possible because she literally witnessed him just murder somebody, and he's a police officer. So it's like, oh, fuck, what the fuck's going on, right? And she comes to, and there's like this duffel bag or sports bag in the back seat, and she kind of opens it up a bit and she looks inside and she realizes that everything that's inside that bag, she pulls out a shirt, which I think was the shirt at the beginning of the movie on the boy who went missing. It's like, oh, fuck. What the fuck is oh shit. Like, why does this cop have in a duffel bag the shirt of the boy that went missing? And then she looks further, and I think she discovers like also those Swiss Army knives, like those green Swiss Army knives. I think she does. Anyway, if not, it's revealed later that he has all these green Swiss Army knives. Knives, I should say. And that's the calling card of this kidnapper. And it's like, what the fuck is... And then you start to realize, oh my God, it's him. It's the cop. It's him. You know what I mean? And he drives off into the woods, and then he gets out or something. She gets out. She's trying to call 911 from the woods, but it's spotty reception. She stumbles upon this trailer in the middle of the fucking woods, in the middle of fucking nowhere. She goes inside, like you'd go inside. Who the fuck would go inside? But it's a movie, right? She goes inside and she can hear boys, like little boys, like 10, 11, 12, who are still alive, who are in these cupboards with these zip ties, like they're alive, but they've been kidnapped. And one of the boys, of course, is the one missing from the beginning of the movie, I think. And she's like, oh my God. And then, of course, he comes into the trailer, knocks her out, puts her back into the SUV, drives her home, drives her back to his place. Because I think, where's Helen Hunt at this point? Can't remember where Helen Hunt is at this point. Damn, I can't remember where she is. But anyway, so he takes her back to his house and is going to set her up. So what he does is she comes to on the couch and he says, get up. I want you to get up. So she gets up reluctantly and he points a gun at her and he shoots her. He kills her. I'm like, oh, yes. Because, in these kinds of movies, you don't usually got the balls to do that, right? Because we've sort of we've fallen in like with her, even though she shouldn't be doing what she's doing. She shouldn't be frogging and sneaking into people's houses. You can tell that, I mean, she's a kid, essentially. And usually you don't see this kind of thing happen. You know what I mean? And he kills her. And again, anybody that's gonna be like, Dave, where's my butt, Dave? Where is I gonna fucking get it going here?
But Dave!
You fucking, I warned you. That's a fuck on the thumbnail. It says spoilers. You can't talk about, as you can clearly see, how are you supposed to talk about this movie other than just saying, you know what, I See You, the one with Helen Hunt, is a really good psychological thriller. I think you'd like it. Have fun. I mean, that's pretty much all you can say without diving into what I'm talking about. You can't talk about a movie like this without talking about spoilers. You just can't, because it's so embedded into the narrative. It's just everything is there's so many kind of, twists, right? So anyway, don't come fucking back at me, man. You clicked on the video. It does say spoilers in the thumbnail. Now it doesn't, to be fair, I didn't put spoilers in the title. Let me do that right now. Okay. O-I-L-E-R-S. There we go. Big exclamation point. Spoilers. There we go. I put it in the title. So there you go. It's in the thumbnail. It's in the title. I prefaced this video like it's going out of style. So there we go. Let me go back to you guys. Where are you guys here? I got to get you guys back. And there we go. You're back. Okay. So yeah, she shoots him, or she shoots her, and she's dead. Sorry, he shoots her. She's dead. She's lying down on the floor. This 17-year-old girl, whatever. It's like, oh, fuck yes, yes. And then he takes another gun, I guess that he has, because he's a cop, right? And shoots the wall behind him, like boom, boom, puts holes in the wall. And then he takes that gun and puts it in the hand, you know where this is going, puts it in the hand of the dead girl to get her fingerprints on it. And he has the video camera, the evidence that they were sneaking around his place. So all he has to say is, well, she found my other gun and she tried to kill me. I mean, that's essentially that's all he's got to say, right? I mean, if things went as planned. So he kills her and it's like, oh, fuck. Like, this is like, yes, and then of course, from that, it goes on from there. The male frogger, her friend, goes back into the house, puts his frog mask on, sees his friend dead, and is like, what the fuck? And it's like, oh my God. He gets like an axe or something, or some sort of weapon, and he goes after the father. And they have a fight and a tussle, and he's beating the shit out of him, and he's trying to defend himself and stuff. And it's like, damn, right? And then the detective, the dad, gets the upper hand. Like, at this point, there's no question. Like, you realize at this point, oh my God, it was this detective guy the whole time. Like, he literally, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see that coming at all. Now I've seen things like that. Like, there's a couple of series on Netflix, like The Stranger and I think Safe, starring the guy from Dexter. Like those two shows, they have similar twists where it's kind of like, oh, and this kind of reminded me of that kind of style, which I think is why I liked it a lot. But anyway, so, the beating the crap out of him, the dad gets the upper hand. He stands up. The kid gets up, has a gun, points it at him. And the dad's like, and I say the dad, I mean, like the detective, it's not his dad. And he's like, he starts saying like, what are you going to do? Blah, 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 saying all this stuff that, villains always say, right? And then the kid, the frogger, steps into the light. So we can see him a little bit because everything's dark and it's happening in the kitchen. And he steps into the light, light from the window or something, right? Coming in from outside. And he steps into the light, and you can see the reaction on the detective's face, and his mouth drops and his bottom lip opens up as if he knows him, as if he recognizes him. And then he starts to say, listen, you don't understand. Like, when I was a boy, it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on here, right? And then I forget what the male Frogger says, but he just says, like, I don't give a fuck, or I don't give a shit, or fuck you, or something, and just shoots him point blank right in the chest. You know what I mean? And the detective falls back down, and he's been killed. And then one of his buddies, the detective's buddies, because they don't know this yet, right? That their detective friend's a fucking pedophile. They don't know this yet. God, I screamed that. Hope my neighbors didn't hear that. They maybe it'll sound like I said something else. So yeah, that McRae's going crazy next door. So the cop comes in, sees his buddy down, looks at the kid and shoots the kid in the shoulder. The kid falls to the ground, right? But then when the cop comes over to the kid addresses him by name. And the other detective's like, oh shit. Like, this is one of the kids that was missing from years ago. There was a kid that went missing years ago, and it's all over the news and shit like that. And that's him. That's him. And the detective's like, oh my fucking God. Like, it's you. Like, that's you. Do you know what I mean? Because he interviewed him years and years ago, right? So, just a really cool ending. And of course, Helen Hunt comes home. It's like, we're so sorry, your husband, like, fucking piece of shit. And it kind of ends, the cops show up, and there's a natural sort of, an extra few minutes where you decompress and you wrap up, right? There's the wrap up, right? And I gotta say, like, really good movie. There was nothing supernatural in that movie whatsoever. Nothing. Literally. I don't mean that in the way that most people say, oh my God, my head literally exploded. It's like, no, your head didn't literally explode. No, I mean literally, in the purest sense of the word, in the actual definition of the word. There's nothing supernatural in this movie. It's all natural. It's a psychological thriller. It's all just, it pulls one direction. There we are. A little bit of a hiccup there. What I love about it is it pulls you in one direction and then pulls you back and allows you to look at it from a different perspective. And I really, really like that. Now, here is the symbol that is at the beginning of the movie, that is in the movie. And this is why symbolism is so important, folks. And this is why, and again, you don't add symbolism just for the sake of it. But when you know your stuff and you know what to write, you can drop clues and hints through, because symbols, like math, symbols is a universal language, okay? And that's what it really is all about. When you drop symbolism into movies, it's really about, what symbolism, and depending on how deep you go and the different layers you have, it all depends on the movie, right? I mean, there's movies like, I See You, which is a psychological thriller that's got some symbolism in it. But then there's movies like Hereditary or The Shining, which are much deeper, like there's different degrees in which you implement symbolism or how you tell your story, using symbols to tell your story and to sort of get into the subconscious of your audience, because that's what's really all about. But like mathematics, symbolism, symbols are a universal language. It doesn't matter what language you speak in the world. You see a red stop sign, you can take the word stop off of it. If you just see that red, was it a hexagon or an octagon or whatever it is? When you see that, it doesn't matter what language you speak, that's a stop sign. You know what I mean? Symbol, like any kind of symbol it can be very powerful because it's universal and it transcends language. It can transcend language. It can transcend language. So when you're making a psychological thriller, part of the great makeup of what makes a great psychological thriller is using symbolism to tell your story. And sometimes these, depending on how knowledgeable your audience is, sometimes they can come to their conscious mind because they're aware of that kind of thing. My girlfriend's really great at this kind of stuff. And sometimes they seep into your subconscious as well. And they can have an effect on you that you really don't fully understand, which there's a lot of, Kubrick was great at that. Kubrick was fantastic at that. So anyway, and And again, spoilers, ladies and gentlemen, spoilers. You've been warned, okay? Go away and come back. Don't fucking blame me, man. You got nobody to blame but yourself. Take ownership of your own shit. That's all I got to say. So anyway, there's a scene towards the beginning of the movie where the dad, now this is like fresh, like we're like, I don't know what Darren, I think we're maybe, if Darren's still watching, I think we're like maybe 15 minutes into the movie, not that far into the movie. And the dad is standing in his bathroom, okay? Standing in his bathroom. And it's a long shot, semi-long shot, okay? We can see I can't remember if you can see his feet, but you can definitely see down to like his knees. And he's standing, and so like the camera's over here, right? And the mirror is here. He's standing here, and I don't know what he's doing. He's washing his hands or, doing something. And the camera is kind of outside the door of the bathroom. And here, of course, is a wall, right? There's a wall here. There's a big wall here. And on this wall, behind the dad, like right back here, on the wall is a picture. And that picture might seem innocuous or even cute to most people. And it is. There's nothing wrong with it in and of itself. I mean, even sadly, even the swastika, if you know your history, I'm not talking about the Nazi Germany swastika, but the swastika, if you know your history, actually was an incredibly positive symbol, very positive. And it goes back, I think, what was it? It was an Indian, I don't mean Native Indian. I think it was like, it been used for way before Nazi Germany ever took it over. But that's why Nazi Germany took it. But when somebody takes something, they can almost change its meaning in some ways, depending on how embedded into the society and pop culture it can become, in a negative way, right? But if you do your research on the swastika and where it comes from, it actually was a really, Duke Fleet says Indian sun symbol. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, there's a lot of different uses for it, and it was beautiful. It was positive. It was positive. It kind of sucks in some ways, doesn't it suck? Because it's actually a cool, like when you look at some of those symbols, like the original one, it's really cool. Like it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. That's cool. That'd be cool. Can't fucking use that now. You can't even get that tattooed on. Can you imagine getting that? Like even one of the old, like before Nazi Germany and shit, and just getting no, somebody go, what the fuck is that? The hell do you have that? And, I get it. Like, I totally get it. It just kind of sucks. You know what I mean? But anyway, so the symbol that I'm going to tell you about isn't necessarily, it's not a bad symbol. It seems innocuous. But it's really cool. So it's a photo of it's just a photo of two hands. And it looks very clearly to me like two hands, two people holding hands. It's like somebody got down, and as you're walking away from the camera, you're holding on to somebody's hand, and it's a close-up, right? That's what it is. And it's a male hand. It's clearly a man's hand with a child's hand in his hand. And that in and of itself is not a symbol of pedophilia. That in and of itself. However, pedophilia circles, people who run in those circles, it's a little known fact that is a symbol within certain circles. You can do your research on this. In and of itself, it's innocuous, right? It's cute. Oh, that's cute. Maybe that's his hand and his son's hand. Maybe it is, right? But it is a known fact that has been used in certain circles. Crazy. Now, most people aren't even going to think that. But there it is. The answer was right in front, and it's clearly in frame with the dad in the picture. Then You fast forward to when the dad and Helen Hunt discover their son in the bathtub. Watch that scene. The picture is gone. The picture's not there anymore. The Frogger, the male Frogger took it, okay? The male Frogger was one of the kids that this man abused years ago. Oh! Oh my, it's right there. It's right there. Think about that. Now again, it's not like the swastika. It's not like you couldn't have that on your, but that is a known fact. It is a known fact. And, I would assume then that the male Frogger took the photo because it means something. Fuck, maybe that's his hand. Who the fuck knows? Maybe that's his little hand in that guy. Who knows? Right? He took it's gone. When the dad and Helen Hunt go into the bathroom and discover their son in the bathtub, pay close attention. That photo is gone. That's not accidental, folks. It's not accidental that when the dad is at the bathroom sink and there's the framing and you can see it and there's a slow track in, not track in on the picture, but we're just tracking in on the whole, on the whole frame. It's right there. Like you cannot not see it. It's right there. Oh, that's a cute photo. Well, yeah, it is. But you know what I mean? And so that's symbolism, right? It is, and the father is in the image, right? The father is in the bathroom at the time that the father is in the bathroom the very first time we were introduced to this image. And that was great. That was great. You know what I mean? So if you know what to look for, the answer was right in front of you the entire time. But most people don't think that deeply about it. Oh, it's just a cute photo. Yes, but when you have great writers and they use symbolism to their full advantage, you can drop things in movies that it would blow you away. And it just and those things get into, because what you do is the purpose of symbolism too is like I said, to get into the subconscious of your audience. So you would look at that and your subconscious registers it as a photo of an adult hand and a child's hand. You don't think of it you don't think of it beyond that, but you pick up on it. And then later on in the movie, one of the detectives was talking about pedophilia, right? And that becomes a very prominent sort of undertone to the picture. And again, that's seeping into your unconscious, and it's making you feel certain things and feel certain ways about certain characters and things that you're not necessarily consciously aware of, but you're having an emotional reaction, and it's if you think that they don't do that, they do that. And if you think that you're above that and that won't have an effect, I'm sorry, you're wrong. It does. You cannot escape it. And when you have filmmakers and writers that are brilliant at that, like Kubrick, it affects you in ways that you can't explain. I know this, but it's great fucking shit. Great fucking stuff. And I just, it's just great stuff. That is, so again, I love the movie. I thought it was great. Darren, thank you very much for suggesting it, because Darren suggested it, was one of the many that he suggested, and I wanted to watch it, so I did, and my girlfriend really liked it too. She liked it for all the same reasons I did, and she noticed a lot of stuff too, which is great. It's great watching that kind of those kind of things with her, because she's great. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So again, I have spoiled the movie for you, but if you care about that kind of thing, but then again, like I said, I was very clear that I was going to do that. And as you can clearly see, if you're still with me, maybe you've seen the movie or maybe you don't care. It's not the kind of movie you can talk about. Like, how do you talk about this kind of a movie and do it justice and not spoil it? How do you do that? I don't know how you do it. I really don't. However, if you're like, okay, yeah, he's spoiled it, but that sounds like a really good movie. Like, that sounds like a movie I want to watch. That's going to be a cool journey. Because sometimes people can know certain things, because everybody's spoiler threshold is very different. Very different. And, you know, even this, me spoiling everything in this movie for you, you know, you might be like, you know what, I'm going to check it out anyway, because there might be some things Dave didn't talk about. Dave didn't talk about, you know, good, you know, scenes, things like that. There might be nuances and details that Dave didn't talk about. And I really like those kinds of movies. And I really like the journey of those kinds of movies. So I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it for myself. Do it. I highly recommend it, man. It's a really good movie. I'd watch it again. I'd totally watch it again. It's good. If I can get it on Blu-ray, if they release it, I'm definitely going to pick it up, or 4K or whatever. Definitely going to pick it up. So, yeah, I See You, again, the one with Helen Hunt, not the one with whoever else is in that other one, because there's two of them. There's two movies, I think both from last year, called I See You. So make sure you're looking for the one with Helen Hunt. So, yeah. Anyway, let's, Alexander, are you finished spoiling? No, I'm not. No, I'm not fucking finished spoiling, man. I'm not. I'm going to spoil it all for you, Alexander. All for... No, I'm just kidding. I'm done talking about it. All right, let's move over to the Q&A and see what you guys are doing. Hey, and if you're watching after the fact and you have seen the movie, comment below and let me know your thoughts. I want to know. Let's move over to some of the super chats that came in. Intel Wild, going hard into the paint as he usually does, says, Dave, the spoiler McRae. I watched it about a month ago. Very good in my opinion. Oh, a month ago. Yeah, great stuff. Great movie. And thank you for the super chat, buddy. You follow up with another one. Says, Dave, let's keep the baby going till 1 p.m. An impromptu Ask Me Billy Anything I Thought. It will be great. I can't, unfortunately. I got to be out of here by about 12:30. But whether or not Bruce and I do another It's Me Billy-a-thon, not sure yet. We'll see how the month of August goes. But Tony Michael and I are planning on doing a, I guess, two dudes-a-thon, where we have a double feature at the end of August, where we watch the original The Last House on the Left, Wes Craven's, and the original Black Christmas. So that'll happen towards the end of August, and everything, all super chats from that will go towards the campaign as well. So look out for that in about another month or so. Billy Joyner says, good afternoon, Dave. Thank you for the super chat, man. Just wanted to thank you for doing what you do. Things have been rougher than normal lately, but I'm trying, and you are a great help. Well, man, I really appreciate you saying that. And, you know, listen, you know, we're all going through, you know, there's no more truer saying than that. I'm paraphrasing that quote, but like, you know, everybody is fighting a battle that you are unaware of. You know that quote, right? And that's totally true. Now there's degrees, right? I mean, some battles are worse than others. I mean, clearly we know this, but it's all relative, right? And everybody is fighting a battle and going through shit that you don't know. And nor do you need to know. So just, you know, keep your head up, keep strong. Like I always say, surround yourself with people who lift you up rather than people who tear you down, you know, and watch my shit, man. Watch my shit. That's what I'm here for, man, to put a smile on your face. So I really appreciate you saying that. It does mean a lot. And let's see here. Let's go back. There was a super chat from Hard Into the Paint. Dave, how do you think the It's Me Billy Indiegogo campaign is going lately? Well, I think it's going very well, actually. Let me see here. Let me refresh the page. We have 4.5 weeks left to go. And we are sitting at 399 backers. Hey, let's see if we can make that a 400th backer right now. A 400th backer right now. Let's see if we can do that. We are sitting at, no, this is Canadian dollars, 37,351 Canadian dollars, or 62% of our production budget. Now, keep in mind, in another few weeks, I'm going to add the super chats from the It's Me Billy-a-thon to that. So really, if you think about it, we're actually fitting. I might tie thing today. We're actually sitting at 39,351. So just imagine that actually saying 39,000, and instead of 62%, it actually saying about 65%. So that's pretty good. I mean, you know, with 4.5 weeks left to go, it's pretty good. Now, again, it's still an uphill battle. We want to get as close as we can to our production budget as possible. But I mean, you know, for a Black Christmas fan film that nobody was asking for, nobody was demanding, you know, 3.5 weeks in, or 4 weeks in, 4 weeks in. It'll be 4 weeks in this Saturday. Almost 4 weeks in, nearly 40 grand already. You know, that's insane. That's insane. You know, and we got another month to go. So I think all things considered, all things considered, hard into the paint. I think we're doing very well. Warren Armour says, huge slices of bacon on pizza, scallops on pizza. Are you guys having a pizza conversation? You guys must be having, you guys are talking about pizza. Yeah, well, as you know, I like pineapple on pizza. I like Hawaiian pizza. Bruce, not so much. But I'm in good company because I think Malika, who's playing Justine in It's Me, Billy, she liked pineapple on pizza until she, caved under the pressure. I think we can bring her back. Malika, if you're watching, we're going to bring you back. And then Victoria loves it. So I'm in good company there. And Shelby, I can't remember if Shelby liked it or not, but Bruce might be the odd one out here. He doesn't like pineapple on his pizza. I don't know. He just doesn't like it. We'll just make sure we order tons of pineapple. Let me see here. Darren Sands says, my great moderator, Darren Sands, another movie that's difficult to talk about without spoiling is Archive. Oh, okay. Another great premise, really, recently, released on, to VOD. Okay. Let me just look this up here. I have not seen that or heard of it. Maybe I've heard of it. Maybe I'm just like, oh, I know that one. You know how sometimes you're like, oh, yeah. Let me see here. What am I doing there? Archive movie. Okay, here we are. It's a 2020 film. Okay, 2020 film. Pretty good Rotten Tomatoes ratings. Basically the same one as I See You. Ooh. 2038 is, I'm assuming, this is the one that Darren's talking about. The brief synopsis on IMDb says, the year 2038, George Almore is working on a true human equivalent AI. His latest prototype is almost ready. This sensitive phase is also the riskiest, especially as he has a goal that must be hidden at all costs, being reunited with his dead wife. Reunited and it feels so good. I'm down, Darren, I'm down. Darren, my man, going hard into the paint. I'm down, Darren. I'm down. Yes, I will mention it to my girlfriend because we've been getting together and having like movie nights over the last few weeks. So maybe when I see her next, I'll mention this to her and be like, hey, you want to watch this one? You know what I mean? So I am down. Yes. Oh my God, that sounds really cool. I've never heard of this. But you just said, you also went to VOD, so maybe that's why. Cool. Okay, I will check it out. I'm going to definitely check it out. A Happy Guy sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Happy Guy. And says, it has never bothered me knowing what's to come in a movie sometimes. It is what makes me see the film. I want to see the film, and I love Helen Hunt. Thanks. Cool. Well, hey, you obviously sat there through all the spoilers. I've definitely told you what's coming and what's happening. But it's the kind of movie that's it's so good, it's so well executed that being part of that journey and just watching the creative decisions unfold is enjoyable. So I think you're going to like it, and I highly recommend it to people. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, they filmed I See You in my home state of Ohio. Very cool. I live in Columbus, and it was filmed 2 hours away around Cleveland. I tried out as a featured extra, but didn't get the role. Oh, that's so awesome. Oh, yeah, next time. You put yourself out there, right? That's really cool. That's so cool. I didn't know it was filmed in Ohio. I haven't really dove that deep into the behind the scenes of it. So that's cool stuff. Let's see here. Jason Knight. Jason, it's great to see you here, man. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Great to see you showing up, Jason. By the way, Jason has his own channel where he's just begun, but I think you're closing in on like 100 subs or something, which is amazing, dude. That's fucking amazing. Where he talks about movies and music and shit like that. So check out his channel if you're interested. Jason Knight says, Dave, what is your absolute favorite movie if you had to choose one? Oh, man. It's going to be a toss-up between like The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back, Jaws, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, All About Eve, it's going to be like in that that kind. Of course, I rammed, there's 7 there, but it'll be one of those probably if I had to choose. I can't choose, man. It's so hard to choose. Although I will say this. When I was a teenager and I worked at a movie theater, it was in the mid-90s, and at that time, movie theaters had, like now we're spoiled, right? And for those of you that are a bit younger, you don't know anything else but this. But obviously, if you're older, you know that the stadium style seating that we get in movie theaters now, and the giant, huge screens and and all that kind of that's only 20 something years old. Before that, there were older, it was, you'd go into a movie theater and there was a bit of a slope, but you were essentially, it just wasn't like it is today. So anyway, when I first worked at a movie theater, I worked at something called the Coliseum, right? And it was fresh and new. People would walk all these concessions and things hanging from the ceiling, and like 13 movie theaters and IMAXs, and it was wild, right? And as somebody who was working there, we had name tags, obviously, and it was cool. We had to write down we had to put what our favorite movie is, and they would get that printed on. They would get that printed on our name tag. So it would say like Dave, and then underneath it, it would say what my favorite movie was, and it's used as like a conversation piece. You know what I mean? To talk to people and shit. So now, this is definitely one of my favorite movies. I don't know if it is hands down the favorite movie, but at that time I put Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now I know what you're probably thinking,
but Dave, you said Indiana Jones is your favorite Indiana.
It is. It is my favorite Indiana Jones movie, but I love Raiders of the Lost Ark too. And for me, Raiders of the Lost Ark, I actually think is the best Indiana Jones movie, even though Temple's my favorite. It's like how Tony says, listen, Halloween, the original Halloween, is clearly the best Halloween movie, but Halloween 4 is his favorite. You can have a favorite, which isn't necessarily the best, objectively speaking. So I had Raiders of the Lost Ark on it, So yeah, it'd be one of those. It'd be one of those for sure. Let's see here. Devin is awesome. Devin is awesome. Sending in a $5 super chat, $4.99. Says, hey, Dave, just tuned in. Have you seen The Rental? New horror thriller movie directed by Dave Franco. Really good, great suspense throughout. I haven't seen it yet. I know the one you're talking about. I've heard mixed reviews on it. I've heard some people have really enjoyed it, while others not so much. So it's definitely something I want to rent. So I will check it out. Darren Sand says it's certainly worth a watch. I'm assuming you mean archive. Cool. Great idea. Yes, I'm definitely going to watch it because you recommended I See You and we watched it and it was like, oh yeah, this is great. Johnny T says, Dave, if you are taking movie suggestions, may I recommend The Collector for your future McRae Live or Two Dudes? Would love your thoughts. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. I know the one you're talking about, so I will mention to Tony and keep it in mind. James, is it James Guzman? Or maybe the G's silent. Anyway, Usman? Anyway, James says, I'm Mike Thyssen. Yeah, that's right. Thyssen.
Hey man, what's going on?
Robert Thidoff saw, I already read that. Okay, let me scroll down. Scrolling down. Jason Knack says, Dave, I love the house you posted for filming It's Me, Billy. Oh, I thought you guys would like that. Yes, indeedy, diddly, 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 do. We are very excited to be shooting at this place. This is it's a mansion, like a real mansion that was, obviously there are, many different types of mansions, but this is a big mansion. I think it's got, I can count one. I think it's got like 10 bedrooms or something like that. 10 or 11 bedrooms. It's got like servant quarters, Now, obviously the family that lives there now, they don't have servants or anything like that. But back in the day, because the mansion was built in 1870. It was built in 1870 and all through the late 1800s and early 1900s and 10s and 20s and 30s. They had servants and there were servant quarters and there's a PA system. The house is so big, there's a PA system that runs throughout the house. So you can talk to people over the PA. It's beautiful, as you can see. And we did show one picture of the inside of the staircase, and it's just beautiful. And so, yeah, we are very excited to be shooting here. Now, this isn't supposed to be the house in Black Christmas. Okay. Even in the actual movie, it's not the same house. But when choosing a location, we knew that we wanted a house in its likeness. We wanted a house. We wrote a story about these three girls going to Jess Bradford's home. I mean, that is who this home is. I mean, that's not a spoiler, because in the synopsis, it says the three ladies spend one last Christmas Eve at Sam's grandmother's old country mansion. Well, Sam is the granddaughter of Jess Bradford. So whose mansion would this be then? Well, it would be Jess Bradford's, right? And there's it's justified why she lives in a place like this and all that kind of stuff in the movie, which I won't tell you about. But that's who it is. So that's whose it is, I should say. So, we knew that we wanted a likeness. We knew that we wanted, the house in the original Black Christmas, although not quite this big, is a big home. And I'm telling you, it's a mansion in and of itself, just not quite this big. But it was a character in the movie. It's like the house in The Conjuring becomes a character. The house in the Amityville Horror it's a character in the movie. We needed our location to be a character in the movie. We could have shot it at just a regular, suburban home. And it's not like suburban homes can't become characters in movies, like in Poltergeist and things like that. But we wanted a home with a lot of character. So we discovered this home and got in touch with the owners and did the formal meeting and location and tech scout. And we couldn't be more excited to shoot there, man. It's fucking amazing. It's a beautiful home, and it's perfect for something. And other movies have shot there. They have shot a lot of Hallmark films there. And when we were going through the location scout, John, who's the owner, was taking us on the tour, or the tour, as you like to say, south of the border. And he took us through his bedroom. Now, we're not going to be shooting or accessing their side of the house in terms of their bedrooms and things like that, because that's their private, residence. But he was taking us on a tour nonetheless of the whole place, including where they live and stuff. And as we walked through his bedroom, he's like, yeah, and Tori Spelling had sex in here. And we're like, you mean like in a movie? And he's like, yeah. We had a good, laugh about that. But yeah, there was a Tori Spelling film that was shot there as well. So, I mean, other movies, other productions have shot there. And so we're not the first, and we won't be the last. So, because how can you not? Just amazing. So yeah, really excited about it, man. Reese Wilson, Reese, my man. Reese, I noticed as well that you picked up the 2 dudes perk, man. Dude, words cannot, sincerely. I mean, these things are, really appreciate that, man. You are amazing. I mean that. I mean, you picked it up and you made a donation. I mean, dude, fuck, man. Come on. I don't know what to say. All I'll say is just thank you. Thank you for doing that. It means a lot. It means a lot. And generous super chat coming in as well. Reese, we love you, man. He says, hey, Dave, you should check out Relic if you haven't seen it. Now, are you talking about the one from 1997? I actually think that was called The Relic. I don't think you're talking about that one. I actually saw that one in the movie theater way back in the day. Another great psychological, filled with tension and dread, and the crux of the story is all about the horror of watching a parent deteriorate. Okay, you're definitely not talking about The Relic from, I think, 97 or 96, somewhere around there. Okay, The Relic, interesting. Well, I'll put that on the list. Again, folks, I do my best to get to, some of the suggestions. I can't promise that I'll get to everything, but certainly, some ideas, the Collector, Relic, Archive. We'll take these things into consideration for sure. Definitely appreciate that. Kevin Boren says, hey, Dave, any chance of a 2 dudes watching the original Predator or Alien? In short, I will say yes. Definitely. We definitely want to do Predator. That definitely is coming. Definitely is coming. Not sure 100% when, but it's definitely coming. Won't be coming in August, though, because we have a stacked August coming at you, including next week, which is, I believe, next week is the original When the Hills Have Eyes. Wes Craven's When the Hills Have Eyes is next week. Gary Rangel says, Dave, I was watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Okay. Was that how John Saxon was mourning the loss of Marge by being an alcoholic and he was a security guard? Well, yeah, I think that probably everything that he went through. I can't remember. Is it justified why he's an alcoholic? Like, is it actually said why he's an alcoholic? I would say that that's probably why. Yeah. And everything that he went through with Freddie and the guilt that he feels, because he feels guilt. You know, there's guilt there as well. So yeah, I would say that's probably the case. I don't think it's out of, I think that's probably it. Yeah, I'd say so. Make sure I didn't mention these super chats. I don't think I did. I did not. Okay, good. Going back to the stream over here. We got Gary Rangel says, Dave, I was watching. Oh, yeah, I already read that. Okay, cool. Let me see here. Johnny T says, if it was Tori Spelling, it was probably one of the Scary Movie spoofs. I don't think it was one of the Scary Movie spoofs. No. Like, it wasn't that. Or are you talking about a spoof to Scary Movie or a... I know what you're talking about. No, it was some Hallmark movie or something I think she was in, or some other film. He actually told me the name of it, actually, and I'll have to check it out. I do have it listed somewhere. But there are other movies that have been shot there as well. Horror movies and non-horror movies. Because you can use it for both. You don't have to use it for a horror movie. But of course, clearly, it is great for a horror movie. Victor Charlie sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Victor. Really appreciate that. Jason Nike says, gotta go, everyone. I'm dropping a Crocodile Dundee movie review tomorrow. Take care. Amazing. That's not a knife. No, that's a knife. I have one of those knives, which I've shown you. It's like a gigantic Rambo knife. It's more of a crocodile, because actually the knife that Stallone uses in the first Rambo is actually not that big. I mean, it's big, but it's not that big. He graduates to much larger Crocodile Dundee type knives later in Rambo 2 and 3. But the knife I have is more like a Crocodile Dundee knife. It's awesome. I love it. I love it. Matthew Mills says, Dave, you're looking very smart today. Oh, well, thank you. Maybe unconsciously I thought, well, since I'm talking about a psychological thriller, I should look like I should look a little more dapper, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. I'm always in hoodies. The Movie Fanatic says, Dave, what is your favorite Jack Nicholson performance? Oh, Jesus. I mean, it'll probably be a toss between The Shining and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Would probably be that for me. I mean, he was great in A Few Good Men. He was great in that too. You can't handle the truth. I mean, it's an iconic line that's in pop culture now. But I would say if I'm thinking about my favorite, you know what? Chinatown. He was good in Chinatown too. He was really good in Chinatown. But I'm going to say One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining is probably what I would say are my favorites. Probably. Juan Guzman. Juan Guzman. It's Guzman, right? That's what it is. Yeah, I said Guzman. It's Guzman for sure, probably. James Guzman, like Juan Guzman, says, I think we all see you doing great things in the film, Dave. Thank you, James. I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. Listen, there's so much work. Like Bruce was over here last night. He was over here till about 1 o'clock in the morning. We were going through the script again and making the final, what would really be the final adjustments and changes to the characters and their motivations and things like that. And the month of August is the month of August is really about nurturing the final month of the campaign, making as much as we can, and really begin now breaking. We began doing this, but there's going to be some adjustments that'll have to be made because the script has changed, not changed significantly in the sense that it's a completely different script, but certain things have changed significantly. So August will be really about the shot list and breaking down the shot list and then the rest of our crew, we will probably start to hire towards the end of August. So that's like props master and, grips and PAs and, things like that. That'll probably be towards the end of the month. Diehard Drummer 84 says, Dr. Dave, advice dating on office dating. All right, just call me Dr. Dave. I should have my own show. Dr. Dave, Dr. Dave. And it's like Fraser Crane. What does he say? Oh, he's like, hello, Diehard Drummer 84. I'm listening. Since we're WFH till at least March, I think it would be safe for the time being. WFH. What's WFH? What am I'm blanking on that. What's WFH? I have no idea what WFH is. We're WFH till at least March. I think it would be safe for a time being. You mean like you think office dating? I don't understand. Dr. Dave, advice dating on office dating. Oh, working from home. Okay, it's work. WFH, working from home. Okay, all right. All right, I didn't know that's what that meant. Has that entered the pop culture now? WFH, working from home. I didn't know that's what it meant. And maybe I should, since I do most of my work from home anyway. Office dating. Well, I advise against it, because, yeah, I mean, especially if you're working with are you in the same building, or are you the same? Because listen, sometimes depending on your office, you can be in a building where there's many different companies, and maybe you work for a company that is on floors 1 and 2, but the girl you're dating, or the guy you're dating works for a different company, and they're on office I don't know, 9 and 10. So you don't ever really see them, maybe. But if you work for the same company, in the same office, in the same space, don't do it. Don't do it. Rarely anything good comes from that. And then if it goes south, then what? Don't do it. Find somebody else. Find somebody else. Don't do it. That's my advice. Alexander Dirksen says, what are movies you want a sequel for? For me, it's Dread and Alita. Well, I'm right there. I'm right there with you with Alita Battle Angel. I loved Alita Battle Angel. I thought it was great. So I would say, yeah, Alita Battle Angel. And you know what? It's another movie I'd love to see a sequel to. It doesn't need one. It's animated, it's probably one of my favorite. It is definitely one of my favorite animated films of all time. I thought it was so good. The performances were so great. Is Zootopia. I thought Zootopia was fan-fucking-tastic. I love that movie. And I would love to see a sequel to that. It doesn't need one. Usually sequels aren't, although in the world of animation, sequels sometimes can be just as good. I would love to see that. Yeah, I would love to see a sequel to Alita Battle Angel and Zootopia, because I love me some Alita. Victor Charlie sends in a super chat again. Thank you very much, buddy. Says, sorry, Dave, can't stick around, but curious about your thoughts on the Cobra Kai series, if you've seen it. Dripping with nostalgia. Well, yes, I have seen both seasons 1 and 2. Tony was the one who put me on to that. I like the Karate Kid. But I can't say I was in love with the Karate Kid. I mean, before Cobra Kai, I went and watched the Karate Kid again, but I hadn't seen it probably in 20 years. It's not a movie that I was, growing up through the 1980s, there were certain movies that kids loved, and there were certain movies that I didn't hate. It just I never got attached to it. Like the Never Ending Story was something that I watched it when I was a kid. I probably haven't seen it in over 30 years. It just never was really my thing. You know what I mean? But of course, Never Ending Story. I mean, of course, you know the theme and you know the song, because you can't be a kid growing up in the 1980s and not know that. I mean, if you weren't a fan, somebody in your class was, but it just wasn't a big thing for me. That was kind of like the Karate Kid. I watched the Karate Kid 2 and 3. But I watched them, and I maybe watched them a couple of times, and I moved on. Tony, it's his favorite movie of all time. Tony's favorite movie of all time is the Karate Kid. So, that's his fucking movie. I wasn't like that with The Karate Kid. But I certainly know it, and I know, the story, and, I get it, right? So when I watched Cobra Kai season 1 and 2, I appreciated the what they did with it, and it was really good. And the fighting, although very choreographed, was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see it. And the end of season 2, when they're all fighting in the school, and very choreographed, but fucking like almost cartoony, but it's good. It's fun. That's what I say. The show is fun. So I really enjoyed season 1 and 2, and I'm really looking forward to season 3, because where they left off was very interesting in terms of the character arcs and things like that. So I'm excited to see season 3, and I'm equally excited to see season 2 of The Society. If you guys haven't seen The Society on Netflix, check it out, because the acting is fantastic. The premise is great. There's a mystery there that is fucking great. And so check it out. And I'm really looking forward to season 2 of The Society. I don't know when we're going to get that. And of course, there's Dark. Dark is a great show. Now, Dark is an acquired taste, because Dark, let me just warn you, if you haven't seen it already, Dark is fucking intense. Like, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's a German series. You can watch it subtitled, or you can watch it dubbed. Now, I have about 5 episodes left to go in season 3, which is the final season. I chose to watch it dubbed, and ordinarily I don't do that. Ordinarily, I watch subtitles, because I want to watch, I want to hear the actors' real voices, get their real inflections and performances. But I chose to watch Dark dubbed because of the simple fact of the subject matter. It's so intense. There's so many turning parts. There's so much going on that to read. Now, listen, there are some people that I'm sure have watched it dubbed and have been able to keep up, and they're fine. But for me, I felt like I was going to have a difficult time keeping up with what's going on if I was reading. You know what I mean? Because it's so intense. Like, it's not just there's a lot of, it's fantastic. So I chose to watch it dubbed so I can just watch and not read and pay close attention to what's going on. But you have the option. Dark is amazing. And it's all about like alternate realities and universes and time travel. It's fucking intense, but it's great. It's great. So, anyway, your question was about Cobra Kai. So yeah, I have seen it, and I'm really looking forward to season 3. All right, let's see here. I have, I've gone over, so we'll take one more question here. One more question. Danita Brown, this isn't a question, it's a statement, says, The Society was awesome, and I can't wait for season 2 as well. I'm right there with you, Danita. Right there with you. Dylan Prell says, not to get confused with the movie Society, right? That's right. That's right. This is a show on Netflix called The Society, and it's really good. It's really good. All right, listen, that's going to do it for me. We'll end it there, folks. We'll end it there. That is going to do it for me on episode 85 of McRae Live. I want to thank my moderators, the great Darren Sands, the great Jason Knight, the great Tabitha Short, and the great Frank Riker. You guys are amazing. You doing what you do, tuning in all the time. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you for doing what you did with Devontae earlier and putting him timeout after timeout after timeout. I really appreciate you guys doing that. I know I can always count on you guys, so that is amazing. And I will be back tomorrow on episode 86 of McRae Live. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Folks, if you have not seen The Society and you didn't care about my spoilers, or maybe you did, and you went and watched The Society, not The Society, I See You, I See You. If you have watched I See You, the one with Helen Hunt, comment below and let me know what you thought of it. I would really like to know. If you began to watch this video and you're like, oh my God, he's going to be talking about spoilers, I don't want to know anything, and you went and watched The Society, and then you came back and watched the rest of the show, let me know. I want to know what you thought of of I See You, The Society, of I See You you can tell me what you think of The Society as well in the comments if you want. But yeah, tell me what you thought of I See You in the comments below. If you're going to put spoilers in your comment, please preface it with spoiler warning, your comment with spoiler warning, and then kind of like, space, and then start your comment. If you're going to, and like I said, we may see a lot of that in the comment section below because it's very difficult to talk about this kind of a movie with not talking about spoilers. Like, it's virtually impossible, So yeah, just a bit of advice. Please do that, because if you don't, then I'll just remove the comment, or one of my moderators will remove the comment, because my moderators have access to remove comments in the comments section as well that they deem inappropriate or going against what I said, please don't do. You know what I mean? So if it contains spoilers, if you're just saying like, yeah, I love the movie, it was awesome, blah, 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 and you keep it vague, not a big deal. All right, folks. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. You guys are amazing. In the meantime, in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.